The world is indeed a place full of sad and heartbreaking stories. One particular story that left the world shaken and in deep sadness was the story of the Californian hiking family. Join us as we tell you about the tragic event that led to the terrifying death of a beautiful family. Ellen Chung, age 31, and Jonathan Garish, age 45, along with their one-year-old daughter Minju and dog Oski, set out to hike at the Heights Cove Loop trailhead in a remote area of the Sierra Nevada National Forest on 15th August. Their truck was found near the trailhead 2 days later, and crews soon found the bodies of Jonathan Garish and Minju. Ellen Chung's body was found a little higher on the hillside. It's easier to think that Ellen Chung, Jonathan Garish, their baby daughter, and their dog died from something sinister. When their bodies were first discovered on August 17, 2021, with no obvious signs of trauma, investigators ran through a list that included lightning, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, cyanide exposure, illegal drugs, alcohol, suicide, and toxic algae. Officials wore hazmat suits when handling the bodies and investigating the scene. Jonathan's body was found seated with the baby and dog nearby, while Ellen's body was found further up the trail. How could an entire family, including their pet, die so peacefully? They simply weren't equipped to hike a steep trail through the Sierra National Forest in mid-August, where shade had been burnt off by earlier fires and temperatures ranged between 41 and 43 degrees Celsius. Many of the trees had been destroyed in a wildfire 3 years ago, leaving much of the trail with very little shade. Hence, meaning prolonged direct exposure to the sunlight and its scorching heat. Grueling midday temperatures and a lack of shade had moved locals in recent years to avoid the hike during the summer. But the family was new to the area. They had moved to Mariposa in the Sierra foothills during the pandemic and brought numerous properties. Chung was a yoga instructor and a graduate student, and Garish was a Snapchat engineer. Before relocating to the small town, both were avid concert and festival goers. Social media posts dating back to 2017 showed Chung and Garish at shows with large groups of friends. The two wanted to raise Minju in a quiet, slow-paced environment surrounded by nature in a setting unlike the hustle and bustle of San Francisco. The records show that Garish had used the All Trails app to map out the hike and that he had hiked a portion of the same loop in May 2017. But the temperatures at the time had been much lower, and the 2018 Ferguson fire hadn't yet burned out the tree canopy in the area. The local sheriff's office announced that the family died of overheating and probably dehydration. This is an unfortunate and tragic event due to the weather, Mariposa County Sheriff Jeremy Breeze said at the time. According to the report, a U.S. Forest Service volunteer who had hiked the nearly 12-kilometer or 8-mile loop more than a dozen times told a deputy the family appeared completely unaware of the dangers. They carried only a sippy cup and a backpack with a 2.5-liter reservoir for water, the records show. For Wesley Trimble, a communications and creative director with the American Hiking Society, the tragic incident serves as a reminder to be prepared when going hiking by planning before leaving the house. He advises telling people where you're going and when to expect you back. Telling a neighbor or a family member that you're going to a specific location and that you'll be in touch when you're back in the area with a cell signal, Trimble says. And if you don't return when you expect, give someone specific information like the sheriff's office for the county where you're hiking if they don't hear from you at a specified time. In addition, for warmer weather hiking, it's important to be familiar with the symptoms of heat exhaustion and heat stroke. You want to be able to pick up on if you or someone is experiencing nausea and headaches and other symptoms, because if you're hiking in hot temperatures, it's a good sign that you're probably starting to get dehydrated, says Trimble. Make sure everyone is drinking water consistently. By the time you're thirsty, you're already starting to become dehydrated. After several months of investigation, the FBI and Mariposa County Sheriff's Office pulled data from Garish's cell phone, allowing it to retrace the family's last steps. Authorities were able to pull a text message from Garish's phone at 11:56 a.m. asking for help. It was never received due to the lack of cell service in the area. "Can you help us?" the text read. Garish's phone showed that he tried calling multiple numbers, including 911, but again, due to lack of service, the calls never connected, the authorities said. The first call was made at 12:09 p.m., following 4 subsequent calls at 12:35 p.m. within 1 minute of each other. In addition to text and phone calls, authorities chronicled almost 16 photos from Garish's camera roll. The first photo was a picture taken just a few yards from the trailhead around 7:44 the morning of the family's hike, followed by 16 other photos, including family selfies, photos of the river and creek, and concluding with a screenshot of their location from a trail app by 12:25 p.m. The medical report suggests that the family was dehydrated. It was extremely hot that day, with local temperatures reaching around 41 degrees Celsius or 105.8 degrees Fahrenheit, investigators say. The hiking trail included steep and semi-difficult terrain. Bree said that the family had an 85-ounce water bladder backpack along with snacks and a bottle that contained baby formula. Hypothermia, often called heat stroke, results from an abnormally high body temperature, usually due to exposure and overexertion. Heat stroke is the most severe form of heat illness and is a life-threatening emergency. In this case, a person doesn't sweat enough to lower body temperature. It's a condition that develops rapidly and needs immediate medical treatment. The treatments for heat stroke include applying ice packs to the groin and armpits, having the person lie down in a cool area with their feet slightly elevated, cooling the person rapidly however you can, and most importantly, getting the person to a shaded area. However, due to their setting and the unavailability of shade, as well as the absence of water, they couldn't follow any safety precautions to improve their condition. The sheriff said toxicology and coroner reports support his investigative findings that the family of 3 died from heat-related stress. The dog's cause of death wasn't determined, though Bree said he suspects heat was also the leading factor. During the conference, Breeze played drone footage showing the trails that the family walked in the days before their bodies were found. Breeze also noted that there's no evidence that they ingested any water that tested positive for toxic algae. 6 separate laboratories conducted water samples. Testing that was done on the water taken from several locations along the Merced River was positive for algal blooms. A Michigan man who wanted to research the California family that was found dead on a trail in the Sierra National Forest had to be rescued after getting lost, the sheriff's office said. The unidentified hiker was reported missing near Savage Lundy Trail, the same area where John Garish, Ellen Chung, their 1-year-old daughter Miju, and their dog were found dead in August. The man, believed to be in his mid-60s, began his hike in an area shut off from the public, the Mariposa County Sheriff's Office said in a Facebook post. The area had a closed gate and a sign that was displayed that said, "Closed." The man got lost after he couldn't find the trail that leads to Savage Lundy, the sheriff's office said. The next morning, the reporting party noticed his rented vehicle was still parked at the trailhead and contacted our office. A search and rescue mission was activated, and with the help of the Eagle One helicopter from the Fresno County Sheriff's Office, the man was located on the Heights Cove Road portion of the trail, the Facebook post stated. After he was rescued, the man complained about having to spend the night in the wilderness because he was unable to find the trail that leads to the Savage Lundy portion, the sheriff's office said. The man said he tried to call 911 multiple times, but because of poor reception, the calls didn't go through. The man also complained about running out of water he brought with him and having to drink from a river. The sheriff's office said the man got lost on one of the hottest days we've seen this year. Our hearts will never forget the beautiful lives of Jonathan, Ellen, Miju, and of course, Oski. Every single time we plan to go on a hiking trip, at some point we will surely think of how a happily planned trip turned into a disaster and took their lives. Their story shows us how unpredictable life really is. You plan for something, yet something different comes your way. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button. Do comment and let us know about your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an update.